Welcome back to DaGaimez Gaimerz, and I am really happy to be bringing you another episode of Citizen Speak. It's been a while since our last video. The last video covered crafting, and a lot of you talked about many valid points of crafting, what you'd like to see in the games in regards to crafting, what you think is possible, what you think isn't possible. And this is why I like our series of Citizen Speak. It's a series designed to really get our voices out there collectively. Whatever you think as far as your perspective of something being good or bad, or an opinion being good or bad, is voiced. And you know, it's done very respectfully. And I know that the devs, I know that Sig watches these videos, and it's irresponsible of me for it being over a month since our last episode. I'm going to be a little bit more up to date with these episodes. My apologies on that. But this episode really controversial, and I love controversy. You know, anytime you have a very heated topic, you're going to find that people get super emotional about it, because this is going to deal with gameplay. This episode's going to deal with flight in general. I want to hear your opinions, community, about what you think of the flight within Star Citizen. When you climb in the cockpit, you sit down, and you're looking out. What is it about it that either makes you feel very connected to the game or very disconnected to the game? And I love it because I'll get to see all your comments. Please like this video and share this video to get this out there, to get this seen by, most importantly, Sig. But also to share with other citizens, so that you can really get your viewpoint across. And the longer the comments, the better. I really like to read all of them. I'll reply back to most of them. I'd respect if you were respectful. Most citizens are very respectful. Most gamers are very respectful. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining us. Please check out our other Star Citizen content on this card. Plenty more Star Citizen content. I've been doing this since January of 2015 is when I got hooked on Star Citizen. And I did a review on a game that was basically in a beta stage, and I thought it was important to do the review because it's a game where you pledge money. And even though it's not completely finished, it's important to get like a perspective of a game in its initial concept phase. And, you know, I've got a lot of good comments on that review video, and I've got a lot of bad comments on the video, but I will always offer my truth, my opinion, my perception. You might not like it, but I'm not afraid, and I don't back down, which is why I believe people watch me. Because they want to hear what I say, good or bad. Because they react if they think it's bad. Because they react if they think it's good. Now this one, I'm going to give you my honest opinions about what I think of the flight in the game. Currently, it's been a long time since I've played Elite Dangerous. And I'm going to do the old Elite Dangerous versus Star Citizen as a comparison. Why? Because they're both space sims purely. That's it. There are some similarities. There's many differences between both games. I'm not gonna go through the differences. Okay, I'm just gonna merely talk about the flight aspects of both games. Right now, currently, I can tell you that I feel much more connected in Elite than I do in Star Citizen when it comes to the flight. Now, oh my goodness, you might get people that just click X right now, but I want to give you some reasons why. I want to give you what I think are valid reasons why I feel more connected flying within the ships in Elite Dangerous than I do within Star Citizen. And that is really a spatial thing. Now, I'm not talking about walking around in the ship. I'm really just talking about sitting down in the cockpit. And when you're in the cockpit and you've got your hands on the controls and you're looking out through the glass, that is the feeling. It's a feeling that everyone gets when they play a game. The connectivity is so very, very important. When you're playing any of these types of space sim games, you have to feel like you're actually in the ship. Things that hit you affect you. You have to feel like the systems matter within the ship. You also have to feel like there's some type of speed, that you're actually moving. You have to feel like things around you. You have to have the spatial awareness, and it all involves a lack of control within the environment. It has to do with how the ship reacts. I will say in Elite Dangerous that no matter what ship you're flying, it seems that most of the reactionary movement as far as rotation, revolution, forward, backward, has a very similar feel to it within every ship. So I feel that within Elite Dangerous, you do not get that kind of diversity as you do in Star Citizen. So there is a plus one in Star Citizen, that the ships do tend to feel slightly different from another. Not much so. And that's one of the first points I want to get across is in Star Citizen, the ships are different, and I like the diversity of the ships. I like the fact that when you're in each ship, you feel as if each ship has like a difference to it, but I think the difference needs to be exaggerated a bit. When you're in a larger ship, I think the ship movement should be very slow. I want the fact that these larger ships need to be somewhat vulnerable, that they need an escort, that they need help from other people, that helps bring about a social activity, a social interaction with other people, that necessitates friendships, that necessitates a community, corporations, organizations to work together so that these ships survive. I want these ships to be slower in flight. I think it's very important that larger ships act as larger masses, larger trucks, not spinning and moving around like smaller ships. I haven't experienced much of that. I know because of the game, many of the larger ships are not even flyable right now. I understand that. Much more so talking about my experiences with the Freelancer versus, let's say, a smaller ship like a Mustang. The difference should be much more exaggerated. I don't know if many of you have had the chance to fly both of them, but do it sometime and tell me what you think. Freelancer being a trading kind of merchant vessel that deals with cargo. Now there's other variations of the Freelancer, I understand, but this is one of the things that I'm trying to get across. I don't want the Starfarer, which I just did. Check that card out there, a review on that ship. I don't want the Starfarer, once it's flight ready, to be just as maneuverable as a freaking Mustang. I mean, who does? And I know they have that in mind at SIG, so I think that they're going to go ahead and make differences to it, but I just want the differences to be slightly more exaggerated, to involve more people actually helping and escorting ships with other types of ships. So that's one of my first points. My second point would have to be just the connectivity of pilot to ship. And that has to do with the feeling that you get when you're inside the interior of the cabin, the mood and the feeling and the lighting that you get. Now, of course, the game is still in development. A lot of the panels that you see are not lit the way that they should be. A lot of the in-game kind of, what I want to say, the facade of it or the aesthetic of the cabin is obviously not 110% within Star Citizen. I understand this. But currently, as it stands, I feel much more of a connection with the interior of a cabin of Elite Dangerous in the way that the ship feels, as far as having a personality within the cockpit. Not outside or not walking around the ship, just sitting down. I'm talking about the direct experience of pilot to ship, and the intimacy between the pilot and the ship. Yeah, it's getting a little strange, but I think many of you actually understand that comment because you get where I'm going with it. I mean, like with Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon, like everybody that flies a ship needs to have that connectivity with the ship. It is another living, breathing entity, and that is somewhat missing in Star Citizen. I don't feel that. I feel also, that's my second point. My third point is this. My third point is the mechanics as far as the actual flight controls. Now, by flight controls, obviously we know that when you go into the menu, you can adjust a lot of the sensitivity. I do like the fact that they give you lots of options. Somewhat a little bit too overwhelming, honestly. For the hardcore gamer, we're fine. We can do it. We'll take the hour or two that it takes to adjust the controls to make it feel a little bit more personal to you. So, admittedly, I have to tell you that I spent about an hour or so and tried to get a better feel from the gamepad that I have. Now, my HOTAS just broke a couple months ago. If you guys would like to donate to help me acquire another HOTAS, I would appreciate it. Check out my Patreon card right there and become a patron. It'd be great. If not, just keep watching the video. But I'm talking about the ease of use here and the actual flight now. You know, the nitty gritty of it. I think a lot of times they make things a little bit more complex than they have to, but in the menu. I think that navigating as just an average gamer is very difficult to kind of embrace the controls and make them more personal on which 9 out of 10 people are going to have gamepads and they're going to want to play it on a gamepad. A lot of PC players are going to use a mouse and a keyboard, and I'm of the ilk where I actually like to play on a gamepad. Okay, now like we're talking, okay, point and shoot games. You know, obviously mouse, keyboard. Battlefield 4, Battlefront, like Empire, like a whole bunch of different games where I'm using the mouse and keyboard for accuracy, for better shots. But let me tell you now, Elite Dangerous has the most amazing feel when it comes to actually flying your ship with a gamepad. And I really want that for Star Citizen. There's a lot that each game kind of beckons each other to have to make it the more perfect space simulator that it needs to be. Elite Dangerous obviously missing the fact that there's no first-person aspect to it. You can't get out of the ship. You're pretty much the ship, and that's the biggest gripe, you know. Yeah, you can land on planets, but blah, blah, blah. And Frontier's always messing things up. Let's be honest. I feel like this is why Citizen Speak is important, because I'm getting my voice out there, and I know it's actually being heard. So I hope that they're taking this all positively, because I'm telling them right now, and you watching, that I love the game. I love Star Citizen. I think the flight needs a lot of work, though. I think the flight needs a lot of work. I mean, like with the mouse and the keyboard, everything's fine. Okay, great. But then the ship doesn't truly fly like a ship. It feels as if the cockpit and the surrounding interior is only painted on, and that everything else is just kind of fluctuating around, which is very reminiscent of Wing Commander, which is the way that Wing Commander used to be. I remember playing it as a child, and they fashioned the same kind of experience with Star Citizen. I want it to be slightly different. I want it to be a little bit more artistic in its movement, a little bit more genuine in its movement. You know, as a ship would be if you had a flight control, if you had a gamepad, and you're moving around the ship with a gamepad. I automatically want that set in when I sit down. Adjustments within the menu should be minimal. When you sit down, the only thing that you should adjust is the inverted. Honestly, this is a natural feeling that everyone should have within the ship. You shouldn't climb in any ship and automatically feel like, oh my God, this thing's just fluctuating everywhere. I can't even enjoy the experience of flying the ship. You know, and you always, when you're aesthetically flying the ship, and you see somebody playing on a mouse, well, you know who is, because they're moving laterally, they're strafing from side to side, or you know, like it just looks so very, very, very unnatural and robotic. It doesn't look as like a human's flying a ship. There's always got to be a level of humanity to the flight. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Many of you probably are like, what in the F is this guy talking about? But there's a lot of you that this connects with. And if this connects with you on any level, I want you to like the video, I want you to comment, and I want you to share. If you don't like this, I still want you to comment. You can dislike it, that's fine. I don't care. What I do care is that we have a forum now. And Citizen Speak is that forum in which you get to voice your own opinion. And that's the most important part of this series. We had a video initially on trading, which I thought was a spectacular episode where many of you voiced your opinions and were heard. And it's a great forum to be seen, to be heard. And the second video, crafting, which was just the emotion that gets poured into the videos in Citizen Speaks when it comes to the comments, fantastic. I will always make Citizen Speaks videos. I understand the duration in between the two can be quite long. You know, we're talking about over a month or so. since the last one, but I'll never stop them. I'll never stop these videos, whether it's just one a month, like a Sports Illustrated. If that's the way it's going to be, then that's the way it's going to be. But I will never stop these videos because I think this game deserves this type of attention. I love this game. I want it to be what I know it can be, and I dream it just about every day, probably along with Chris Roberts and many that are involved, that this is the game. That this is the game that changes and revolutionizes gaming. I can already see VR being put into this, and VR making this game another kind of upgrade, another jump farther ahead than any other game's been before, just because of the feel that you get when you're outside. And we'll talk about this possibly on another episode, is the first person aspect to it. And my opinion on that is it's amazing. But anyhow, we'll probably do that on the next video, just talk about that. I think that would be a good topic. Let me know what you all think. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please join my stream. Play a lot of Hearthstone, League of Legends, Minecraft. We do have a free Minecraft server. We got a great Steam community. If you've watched the whole way through, if you've listened to me, I am amazingly appreciative. I support those that support me. Don't be afraid to talk to me. I'm very open with every one of my gamers here. We're always having a good time on the stream. And, join my Facebook and all that stuff, blah, 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 social media. Thanks for watching here on DaGaimez. This has been Citizen Speak, Episode 3 on Flight. Thank you.